And it's
I have a coin. We can do a coin flip.
We are live. Look at that. And you have a coin. We're all ready to begin. What are we ready to begin? What, you may ask, are we ready to begin? That's right.
Top 5 what, Gary?
Top 5 movie villains. That is the topic tonight.
That's a great topic. And tonight's show is brought to you by Fish King.
By Fish King.
The finest Fish King in Glendale for all your Fish King needs.
God bless the
fish juice.
Delicious, delicious fish juice. So this was your suggestion, this topic.
Okay.
And I feel like this one, more than any other we've ever done, requires the disclaimer of these are not the top 5 villains of all time. These are not the top 5 best movie villains of all time. They're our personal favorite villains. A personal favorite 5 villains of all time, which is a little bit different. A little bit completely subjective.
Our favorite.
Because I think there's obvious choices that aren't going to be in this, at least in my list.
Best of all time.
You, on the other hand, are doing best of all time.
No, I'm doing my personal favorite. And this one, again, like with most top 5s, my top 3 were locked. I knew exactly what my top 3. And I bet you we will have crossover on this one. So
there's one in particular I bet we'll have crossover. There's one I'm gonna, if we don't match on that one, I think maybe we won't. But
is it Scott Serkland?
Yes.
He didn't make my top 5.
He really? Honorable mention?
He hasn't killed enough. Enough.
So give him time. Give him time.
I don't know why I'm drinking fish juice.
I know. That's definitely an acquired taste. So how do we figure out who goes first?
That's where this prop comes in. We're going old school today. We're going coin it.
Let's do it.
So what do you want? Call it.
I like tails. I always
tails.
Like tails.
I have a feeling it's going to be tails. Let's see. I'm not even looking.
It is tails.
Tails. I knew it.
Look at me. Look at me going first.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to also mention we only had one rule we talked about.
Yes.
That I think we both agreed on. At least I held myself to it.
Yeah.
Which is all of our choices need to be, to avoid cute answers, they need to be fully conscious and sentient. You can't say
sensual.
And sensual. No, sentient. You can't write the asteroid in Armageddon. Like that's not a movie villain. That doesn't.
You can't write the shark in Jaws. You can't write.
Yes, even though the shark has some basic intelligence, that doesn't count. A virus in a plague movie doesn't count. Like these need to be things with agency that are conscious. That are. I even felt. Well, this will reveal something that's not on my list. I even ruled out the alien from the Alien movies, Alien and Aliens, as maybe too borderline. It seemed more like an animal to me, more like just a dog. And
by the way, why do you have to say borderline and alien and the same? Is it like are you making a dig at me?
I'm trying to dog whistle.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Right.
Okay. So, let's see here. All right. Let's get started. This one, we're going to jump right into it. There's not a lot to say about it because it's a very small but significant role. I saw this movie too young. And even though I saw the TV version, which was sanitized, it was still the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Just terrifying.
Oh, no. I didn't even give this guy honorable mention. I think I know who it is.
Do you, though? Do you?
Does it start with an, does the show start with an S?
No.
No. Wow. No.
Mountain Man and Deliverance. For people at home.
Mountain Man from Deliverance. No,
he has no name in the script. He's just Mountain Man.
Yeah. Wow.
He's played by, I looked up as Bill McKinney. He's the actor on the far right here, from the infamous Squeal Like a Pig scene. So if anyone,
Deliverance.
for anyone who hasn't seen Deliverance, first of all, you got to see Deliverance.
Yeah.
It's one of the great 70s movies of all time. Of all time.
What I hear.
One of the greatest dramatic movies. I would argue one of the best horror movies. Like, it is really, really great stuff. Great performances, great direction, great everything. But anyway, for anyone, and I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but basically a bunch of guys from the city decide to go to Tennessee to do this kayaking trip. They're complete city slickers. They get down there, they cross paths with some spooky hillbillies or mountain men or whatever kind of word. I don't know if hillbillies isn't allowed anymore, whatever the word is. And things go poorly. And this guy, both these guys in the scene here on the right and in the middle are scary, scary, scary guys. But the guy on the right especially is terrifying. Really, really, and in a very real way, very dramatic way. This isn't a monster movie. This isn't a slasher movie. This is like a really dramatic, like, what if you went up into the hills and you cross paths with some scary, scary mountain men? Like, what would that go like? It goes like this. It's terrible. It's a great movie. It's totally worth seeing. I don't want to spoil the scene in particular, but it scarred me like crazy because I think I saw it when I was like 12 or 13. But there was a funny story I wanted to. But first, before I get to it, there's a funny story that I always loved about this movie, a behind-the-scenes story. So this was Burt Reynolds' big breakout hit. Okay. Burt Reynolds had been sort of a B-movie actor for a long time. No one took him seriously. He was on like Westerns and cop shows, and he had little bit parts and things. He was in this movie, and he was amazing in it, and it broke him out into superstardom. There was a scene where he had to kayak down some rapids, and they were originally going to do it with a dummy in the kayak and send this kayak over the waterfall, like a little waterfall. And the director kept saying, like, looks fake. It just looks too fake. Like, it's not going to work. And Burt Reynolds, who did a little bit of his own stunts, he was like, all right. Look, I'll do it. I'll do it myself. So he got in the kayak and he went over the waterfall.
Wow.
Almost got himself killed, broke his tailbone. And then afterward, when they're fishing him out of the water, and he says to the director, he's like, how did it look? And the director said, looked like a dummy going over the waterfall. Like, I kind of love that story. But anyway, it's a great, great movie. It also really, which makes no sense to me, blew up tourism to Tennessee, which when you see this movie, that's kind of hard to compute. Because to me, that's like you saw Jaws and you're like, you know what we should do? We should do some scuba diving. Like, it makes no sense at all. I saw this movie and I still to this day, if I don't think I would want to go to the Deep South just because I saw this movie when I was 12. So it's scary and upsetting and amazing. So
Corey has a comment, clarifying comment.
There we go.
Okay. Not to be that guy, but they were in.
There we go. I think he's actually, because if I understand right, kayaks are kind of, they have like a top, right? I don't know any of the anatomy of it.
Yeah, you in a kayak you can't escape. So
canoes are open. Yeah,
he's
correct. It's canoes. It's not kayaks.
But you also can't have access to certain areas in a kayak, so you're sort of safe. So
there we go.
Wow, and by the certain areas I mean waterfalls. So
there we go.
Okay,
so, have you seen Deliverance?
Okay, real quick confession. I have never seen Deliverance, and I've been recommended. It's been recommended to me by so many different people. So
probably a million people. It is one of the great American films.
Yeah, we're gonna see it.
Yeah, you got to see it. Got to. So, and I'm glad I didn't get into a bunch of spoilers. Just know, like, it's hard. It's hard.
Why see it when I live it? So
true.
That's an unpredictable choice. My guess that it was going to be, I'll tell you in my honorable mentions, but
okay.
I did not think it was going to be that one. Wow. Before we play mine, Corey has the first comment on here, was very insightful.
Yeah.
Serpilin, the greatest villain of all.
There's a lot of list left, Corey. Don't worry. We might You just wait till you see our number ones.
I like to read the comments for our deaf viewers.
That's kind of you.
Yeah.
Kind.
Very wise. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
I won't mess up.
Corey, that banjo scene.
I'm excited for Jim.
This is why I'm so excited for Jim to see it. Like, it's so rare that you meet someone who hasn't seen Deliverance. Like, I'm excited for you to have this movie experience. But the banjo scene, you'll know it when it happens. It's amazing.
Oh, I know sort of what happens. By the way, Fear of Banjos, great band. Okay.
They are good.
Here we go. All right. My number 5. Okay, now
you have control. Are you able to navigate, or do I need to?
I do have control. Okay.
Okay.
My number. How does that work? How come I couldn't? Well, we'll get off the air and talk that. Okay. So, one of our stipulations too, besides it being a sentient, actual living being, was we said that it could be an animated villain.
Yes.
So we opened it up to the whole world of animation, which is great. And my number 5 just happens to be an animated villain. And if I ever did a Disney movie and designed a villain, it would be one of two things. And this is one of them that I would probably design. And I love it. Cruella de Vil.
What a classic, fun choice.
Yeah. She's got everything. She's got style. She really does have style.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just selfish and mean and funny and just everything great about a villain, like just a villain. Now, I'm not counting any of the live action stuff or anything like that. That's fine. That's its own thing. But the 101, and I almost said 1001 Dalmatians, but it's 101 Dalmatians. That particular, the way she was drawn and the time, the era that it was set in, her clothes, her gloves, her cigarettes, her earrings, everything. Just great design. What a great character. She had the Debbie Harry blonde and black hairdo before Debbie Harry had it.
Yeah.
But just an amazing villain. And also there is a banjo scene in 101 Dalmatians that they cut out. It was exactly like Deliverance.
Just like that. They're also hill people.
Yeah.
I remember it was one of those. It's funny, I saw it, of course, when I was a little kid, and you forget how, correct me if I'm wrong, how dark and perverse this was. She wanted to make a coat out of all these Dalmatians. She wanted to skin these dogs and make a Dalmatian coat. Like that was the goal.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, they didn't have PETA back then.
That's true.
Plus, she was cold. So
she was cold.
I just think she's amazing. I don't even know who voices her. I couldn't tell you. One of our many thousands of fans watching, if you could, can somebody tell us who voices Cruella de Vil in 101 Dalmatians?
I couldn't tell you who voiced almost any of those Disney characters.
Yeah, except for The Lion King.
Whoopi
Goldberg and Cheech Marin were the hyenas, which was a little bit. Is that coincidental that they're the two minorities in the film? And
wow,
I know there's a whole theory about that, but
there's a little That's a great choice. I was wondering when you asked me when we were planning this out if animated villains were allowed. I was intrigued. I knew it had to be some Disney villain, but I was really trying to decide who it would be. Is this your only animated villain?
Yes. Wow. Well, on my main list, yes. On your main honorable mention, yes.
Counting honorable mentions.
Spoiler alert. Betty Lou Gerson, Mary Jack. Oh, Mary.
Oh, well, look at that.
Wow, good save there. Betty Lou Gerson.
That's the voice of Cruella. I don't know who that is. Is that somebody?
Yeah. Some person wrote, wasn't James Earl Jones the father lion?
Yes. In Lion King.
He was. And he was also Cruella de Vil in the sequel, I think. So,
he just gets all the voice work.
Yeah, and then
All right.
Corey wrote something. If we're doing animated, Gendo Ikari. I'm guessing that's German. No, okay, that's probably some anime thing, right?
I'm assuming, yes, and it's familiar, and I'm blanking on who specifically that is.
Corey, come on, really?
You gotta add. We
Your
need
number one is actually the villain from Rugrats. Just admit it.
Skeletor.
Skeletor.
He's not a movie. Well, he's only a movie villain if you count the Dolph Lundgren movie, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in our twisted world, we would say, well, then you would have to count the Dolph Lundgren live action version.
Right.
Because I was specific with this one. Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
specifically the animated version. So
not the Emma Stone version.
I love Emma Stone, but not that one.
Yeah, I didn't see that, so I
didn't see it either. But all right.
All right. This one is pretty classic. Actually, I think the rest of mine are pretty classic. But this is another one that I think I had the least trouble with this list of all the top fives we've done so far. Like it was more just like what order to put them in.
Okay. So you didn't draw up like, oh, I'm, and you didn't struggle?
Only about the order, really. But I have a long honorable mention list because it was impossible for me not to mention some. You know, even though I knew they weren't in my top five, I just had to acknowledge a few. So this one, I'm just going to jump right into it before doing any I'm not going to do any preamble. We're going to do
nice.
Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, this is a classic part. This was the great Louise Fletcher, poor woman. She's a sweet, sweet lady who kind of like the woman, I'm blanking on her name right now, but kind of like the one who played the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh.
The rest of her life was like branded with this hideous persona. When she's actually a very sweet woman and a nice.
I have a little factoid I got to tell you about after you're done with this.
Okay, I can't wait. So there are lots of. First of all, another great movie, another classic '70s American film. I think what's really chilling about her part is there's a lot of things about it, but I think the two that bother me the most about her, and this was sort of the criteria when I was picking villains, there's a lot of big obvious choices I didn't go with because they didn't elicit these feelings from me. I need to kind of be quietly hating this person while I'm watching. And there are some big examples of villains where it's like, I can't really say I was like hating them. Maybe I was actually really, really enjoying them, do their thing. To me, that kind of disqualified. Now, that was just my personal thing. Ratched, you just sit and you're kind of seething the whole time. Like, she's just awful. She's just such a terrible, terrible person. And I think what makes it really burn is she's in a position where the kinds of things you would want from someone in her role, empathy, compassion, care for people improving, care about people's health and well-being, being supportive, being understanding, being like problem solving, like all these kinds of nurturing characteristics you'd want in her role. She is the complete opposite in every way. She's petty. She's small. She finds little ways to flex her power. She shuts down conversations when they're getting away from her. Like she's just kind of awful. And I get, the word I can't get away from is just small. She's just a small person who's found a place where she can be big. And I think if she was like a mayor or the chief dog catcher or the president or something like that, everyone would like go like, ugh, she's the worst, and she'd be run out on a rail. But because she's hidden in this little corner of this hospital, and the only people who are seeing how awful she is are mental patients, like she can kind of operate indefinitely. And that's what's really kind of terrifying about her to me. Like she's just this awful person who basically can merrily skip along and do what she's doing for as long as she wants the job. Like there's no accountability there, ever. That's, I think, what makes her really creepy.
Yeah. So I was really late to seeing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I only saw it like last year for the first time.
Wow.
It's one of those films, much like Gone with the Wind, I've never seen, but I'm totally familiar with. Like when people reference different scenes, I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, totally familiar with Nurse Ratched, and a lot of the things that happened in it, I was familiar with. But I never sat down and watched the whole film.
Yeah.
So I did last year, and I have to tell you, I was expecting her to be a lot worse than she actually was.
Right.
You know, in my mind, I was going to be like, this is going to be the most hateful villain I've ever seen. And when
I can imagine that. I can imagine that, especially with the pop culture reputation.
And maybe I need to rewatch it again, but it just seemed to me that her character was very reactionary, more than I thought she would be. I thought she would be proactive in her hate, but she seemed to be like little things would set her off, and she would do things. You know, somebody wouldn't take their medicine right or whatever, and then she would go way overboard. So it seemed like she was reactionary more than I thought she was going to be. But then again, I was going into this thinking that she was going to be, you know, Satana.
Right. And I think that's why, and I totally get that. And that's why if I had been able to intercept you before, I think I would have given you that same message I did in my little, which like, she's very petty. She's very small. Like she's a mean teacher. She's like a cruel principal. Like she's just, and finds these little ways to just kind of like twist the knife. And there's something about that when you're kind of trapped in that scenario that makes her, I don't know, just really awful to me. But no, she's not like female Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. By the way, what a great cast that movie had.
The what? The cast is crazy. And it's funny to see like Danny DeVito he looks like a kid. He's so young.
By the way, can we just rewind the tape and say that Gary just said about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? The cast is crazy. That's going to be your quote. That's
Is
so.
that what I said? Was that the choice of words?
Yeah, that was really nice, Gary.
We'll just say that's
well played, Gary. Well played.
Sort of an intentional pun, or I don't know. I don't know what's better, but
yeah. By the way, for you out there, if you keep it coming. If you think of any of your movie villains that you love or love to hate, hit us up in the chat. We'll put them up. One of the things that Gary and I talked about too before we did this was we each have, I think, a little bit different perspective. You're choosing a lot of villains that you just see, that you despise, like, oh, this is such a bad person.
Yes.
I think I'm choosing villains that I liked when they were on screen. My enjoyment went up, you know,
totally.
For whatever reason.
Which I think is like, and both obviously totally legit, but that was what helped me kind of narrow was like, what are the characters I'm actually booing and hissing? You know, as opposed to and we'll get into like, especially some of my honorable mentions will be some obvious choices that maybe people would have expected in my top 5, where it's like the reason they're honorable mention is because the example I gave on my live stream this weekend was Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. Like, to me, he's not a top 5 villain for my list because I thought he was sort of fun to watch, and I never found him to do anything that was really, really despicable. Yeah. And if he had gotten away at the end, whatever, you know, like it's not a big deal to me. But like to me, a great villain is one where you're like, oh my God, like somebody's got to get this guy. Like somebody's got to, you know, like he can't. No one, like someone needs to find him. Someone needs to check him.
Like I didn't pick the father. Not Kevin Spacey, but the father in American Beauty.
Oh, like the guy next door.
Yeah, I didn't pick that guy because, I mean, that's a great villain. A great villain. In fact,
he's a good villain.
He could be on my list, but I didn't pick him because I'm sticking with villains that, like I said, were more entertaining and I like to watch and up the game. So, all right, I got a good one here. Now,
all right.
For my number. Wait, don't play it yet, but
I won't.
Well, wait, that's why you need numbers, Gary.
Well, we didn't upload the number thing.
I know. Well,
here.
I'll have to
what we can do.
What can we do?
just ignore my name right there.
Okay.
Just number 4.
Okay, my number 4. This one will be my most. It may not be my most controversial one. I know it. If there is any controversy between us, Gary, it will be this one. The other one.
I'm excited.
Yeah, but again, we went with Sentient. We went with not a monster from the deep. We went with not a creature, but something that had intelligence.
Yes.
And I think Corey will back me up on this one.
Okay.
That when there is intelligence to be said, it would be this villain here.
I'm excited. Oh.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll allow it.
All right.
I think Hal was intelligent and sentient, right?
Totally, and very calm, and by the way, one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yes.
And just that whole. So I'll tell you, even before I had ever seen the entire movie, even as a kid, when I tried to watch 2001, when I was probably 11 or 12, and I was like, this isn't like Star Wars,
Right.
I didn't get it, but even then, Hal freaked me out as a kid. Like, wow, this is a scary villain.
He's a scary villain.
Very scary.
Supposedly, if I remember right, one of the inspirations for Anthony Hopkins' performance of Hannibal Lecter.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
It was one of the things he looked at. He was like, something like that.
Also, one of the inspirations for Siri. Don't open phone.
Coincidence?
Thought my phone was going to open. Yeah. And Mary Jackson has good taste. She says yes.
She does have good taste. She does have good taste. Yeah.
At least in villains.
At least in some areas.
Yes. Or maybe she is good at picking villains. Gary. Go like this. Hal is masterfully directed by Stanley Kubrick, who just did. I mean, that's ingenious the way they just show the red sensor and everything. It's just, and he's
like an eye.
Hal's everywhere, and Hal, as a viewer, you kind of watch it, and there's a part of you that thinks, well, go along with him, go along with Hal, and there won't be any trouble, But then you can't, and you're human, and then once you do the human reaction, Hal is just heartless, just focused, not even vindictive, just almost like a robot, almost.
Wow.
Sort of a robot.
Crazy.
Yes. Do you know what HAL stands for?
I know. Wait, give me a second, because I know I knew this bit of movie trivia. I don't. Wait. I don't know if this is true or not. I remember it being a sort of dig at IBM that it was one letter down from IBM. So, like, if you take IBM, one less than I is H, one less than B is A. You know what I mean? That this was like some sort of a shot at IBM.
That sounds good, but my answer was Hector Antonio Lujan. Which is
that could be true as well.
That's my father.
I think both of those sound plausible.
Yeah, I actually don't know I don't remember. I'm sure at one point.
That's what I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I had always heard. That it was Kubrick's weird little like dig at, or whoever had. Was it Arthur C. Clarke who wrote it?
Yeah. So tell us, Corey. You're Corey. You're connected.
I should know this.
Corey, you're all about Hal.
Yeah.
Give us Hal, Corey. Give us Hal.
Give us Hal.
So Norma had a comment. She says, "Is Ratched from Netflix a sort of spin-off from the?" It is that nurse, and I bet you they try to make her a good person in it. I'm guessing. Do they?
My understanding, obviously, that it's like
So
20 years before the movie or something.
I'm going to say my one controversial statement for the night.
Okay.
Is that
just one?
This is it. That's all you get.
Okay.
One of my kind of pet peeves, and again, this is not a blanket statement because there could be exceptions, but is when Wicked started this trend of taking villains, and I know people love Wicked. That's cool. I'm not even criticizing the play itself.
It is, yeah. It's a lot of fun to watch. But I think I
I
know.
saw it. Yeah, I saw it live, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it has this trend that started around in the 90s, probably, of the anti-hero, and every hero and Wolverine had contributed to this, which is probably one of my favorite superheroes. To every hero had to be like a bad guy, but like doing good things. What did he say?
Heuristically programmed algorithmic computer. Now, Corey, if you've got nothing to do, Google HAL and IBM and tell me if that's just, you know, lore or something real.
That's HAL, anyways. So yeah, so this whole trend of turning bad, like taking, you know, Ratchet, and then, you know, it's almost like taking the good guy from something and turning them into the bad guy, and then the bad guy, and then understanding that they were really misunderstood. And yeah, whatever. But
I'm a little tired of that.
That's what it is.
Like you, once in a while, that's fun. I did really enjoy Wicked. But I think the idea of humanizing and explaining away every villain is...
Yeah, it's a little bit...
Why? Why are we doing that?
Like this new show, Dahmer. He's so charming and lovable in that. I love that. I feel and I root for him.
I know. He got a bad rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's just a guy out there doing his thing, living his life.
Yeah. So anyways, that's there you have it, Hal. And I'll stick with it. All right, Gary.
Do you have any more thoughts on Hal?
Stanley Kubrick, greatest director of all time. That's all I say.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's certainly a case. We got to do top 5.
Save it for the show, because now I just gave
now I'm gonna hold my tongue.
Okay.
By the way, I thought of a topic for next time, which we'll talk about at the very end. Okay.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh, here, wait.
That's my Hal line. That's my Corey Kirk.
Kubrick dismissed this theorizing, saying the computer's name is an acronym for 2 minutes. Okay, but at the same time, Kubrick is the kind of guy who maybe would say that, and actually it is a weird IBM thing. I don't know. I just find it a little interesting and convenient that it's just one letter different.
Heard of the moon landing, anyone?
Yeah, what about the moon landing? What about that stuff?
Okay.
Cirque was probably busy.
Your name was brought up. Yes, this is just the warm-up show.
Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Number 3. This is the one. Now you'll have to tell me. Well, actually, no, you can't tell me because I don't want you to spoil your list.
Wait, before you do your number 3.
Yes.
Can you show Scott our very first comment so that he can feel included in this show?
Yeah. There we go. And that was unprompted. We weren't saying anything about you.
No, never. And don't even go back to the show and listen.
Don't even. It's too offensive.
You're already here now.
Yeah.
Okay, Gary, what's your number 2? Tell us.
All right. This is one that I suspect, if we have any crossovers, this is the one that I think could be potentially our crossover. It's one of the all-time great performances of the past, I think, 20. Let me check my date here.
I already am reading your mind, and I think I don't have this person on my list or my shout-out list.
I think, so this is a writer-director we both really respect. It's a character that he has named as one of his favorite characters that he's ever created. And he basically landed on the scene with a scene that was one of the greatest bits of script ever written.
Oh, okay. It's not who I'm thinking of. Okay. Oh, no. Hans Landa.
I had to put Hans Landa.
Inglourious Bastards. By the way, one of, if not the greatest opening scene in a film ever.
Yes.
Inglourious Bastards.
Not even opening. I mean, yes, for sure, one of the greatest openings to a movie ever. Opening scene ever. I would say one of the greatest dialogue scenes ever.
Yeah.
I think not even just an opening, like any scene in any movie ever. One of the best is when he's at the dairy farm. Like I could watch that an infinite number of times.
That's the opening, right? That's the opening
It's
scene.
the very first scene.
Yeah.
Once upon a time in the whatever is like the French countryside or something like, or Nazi controlled France or something like that. And he did win an Oscar for this, right? I'm trying to remember.
I think he might have, yeah.
I think if he didn't, there's no justice in the world.
Is it wrong if I say that the rest of the film's not my favorite Tarantino film?
I don't think it's wrong. So we should talk about this sometime. Which do you prefer, Inglourious Bastards or Django Unchained?
Oh, Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, I agree, right? I
mean, I don't want to be, to quote Corey, that guy that says, "Oh, Tarantino never did anything like Pulp Fiction again." I don't mean that. I'm just, each one individually has greatness. I will say this, including Inglourious Bastards, every single Tarantino film, including Death Proof, every single film has a moment in it that is cinematic gold and one of the all-time greatest moments in film. Every one of his films has that, has a moment like that.
Yes.
I just found that Inglourious Bastards was a little bit, for me, uneven. I guess a little bit, I don't know. It was hard to describe.
That was kind of my reaction to Django. We should have a big Tarantino movie discussion. We should do top 5 Tarantino movies.
Yes, we will.
We should. Okay. But so Hans Landa, I mean, I think millions and millions of words have been written about his performance and this character. Millions and millions of words have been written about that opening scene. But I think my favorite thing about it is he's so charming. He's so polite. He's almost to the point of you kind of are dismissive of him.
Yeah.
He just seems like this pleasant little bureaucrat out there taking a report. And then it goes along, the conversation progresses. You can tell there's a lot more than meets the eye with this guy. And he's still very pleasant, very polite, very formal, very professional until he's not. And there's this beautiful part in that scene where he's laid out the situation for this guy. And then he just goes blank. And it's almost like if it was a cartoon, you would see this darkness filter over his face. He just looks so terrifying all of a sudden. And I can't put my finger on why. He's not doing anything. It's all this weird micro acting where you immediately get this chill, like, you need to confess everything.
Amazing. Like
amazing. It's a perfect part. I can't picture anyone else.
This is one of those scenes that Tarantino got everything right. And the way it kicks off the movie, it's just mind blowing. It's such a great little segment. It's so good, and he carries it. He just really carries it.
He does.
I hadn't heard of him before this, so
no, neither had I. And the guy, and to give also call someone out, the guy he's acting against in that scene is doing an amazing job as well, and an underrated job. Like everyone, of course, is mesmerized by Christoph Waltz. That guy is doing a perfect job of seeming very calm, very cool. When he's trying to remember things, you really believe he's like pulling them out of like these foggy memories he has. And once he starts to realize that he's losing control of the situation and this could go really bad for him, he looks terrified. And it's like this, I think his acting challenge, especially up against this guy in that scene, is just as great. And I think maybe gets under-recognized. Like I've sometimes just rewatched that scene, just kind of paying attention to him. I can't think of the actor's name right now. Yeah. And he does a phenomenal job.
Yeah. So good choice. Really good choice.
All right.
That's in my head. Thought about it, but I didn't pick him.
This was the one I thought we might.
This is not who I thought you were going to say earlier, too.
We might both pick Landa. Okay, so Scott Serkland, who's so evil. So glad he got to play a hero in Django Unchained. That was good. That was good. And it showed his range, I think.
There are things in Django Unchained that I absolutely love. Absolutely 100% love. And I think, oh my God, this is one of his best moments. Just, again, I kind of put Django in the same category as this one a little bit, where it's got a lot of really good moments, but there's just some kind of cohesiveness that's not, or some kind of thread that I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, that why it makes it not my favorite one. But it's amazing though, amazing. So
I'm going to hold my tongue because we're going to have to do a Tarantino top 5.
Okay.
Like, I do really want to talk about this.
Yeah,
like, this
I love it. Okay.
But yeah, so I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with it. Though I think Inglourious definitely edges out Django in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, okay,
Django edges out Hateful Eight, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I have to admit, Hateful Eight is kind of toward the bottom.
It's, you know why? Because it's like a play, but it's like a really violent play.
Yeah.
So I think it was a play actually afterwards too. I think he is turning it into a play or turned it into a play. I had heard that, which is perfect.
And again, like, oh my God, I'm going to save it for the Tarantino video. We're definitely going to have to do. But here's my thing about Hateful Eight. I think what you said before, where every Tarantino movie has at least 2 or 3 things that are the best thing you've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Hateful Eight has 0.
Really? No,
I kind of went through it, and there was not a part of it that I really was.
I disagree. Now, I will say this, and Quentin, if you're watching, and in my opinion, Quentin Tarantino has never, ever made a bad movie, in my opinion. Yeah. I can't say any one of his movies are bad. There's things about certain ones I don't prefer, but he's never made a sub 5 movie. Like if he did 1 to 10, they're all, every single one of his movies is at least, even if I don't like it, I have to say it's like a 6.8 or something. It's so good.
Right.
So we'll save Tarantino talk for later.
Yes, we will.
There's too much.
It's gonna be a great chat.
3 hours ago. Okay.
Now let's go. So I'm gonna put Hal up again.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us about your number 3?
My number 3. I want you to put on the image for number 3 in a second.
Okay.
And then I just want us to simmer.
Just let it sit out there.
In it. And then I'll take it from there.
Breathe it in. Okay. Well, you tell
me.
And
I want you to simmer and enjoy notice the color palette. Please notice the color palette. That's hugely important. And notice the framing, and then we'll go with it. Here we go. Right. Voila.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. I absolutely, when I saw Pulp Fiction, and I saw Marcellus Wallace, the way that he was introduced, and he's introduced sort of like this, and the mystery and the brutalness and the confidence and the swagger and the solidness of the character and the intelligence and the just complete focus on what he wants to get done. When I saw this character, I was like, this is one of the strongest characters I've ever seen in a movie, period. And then he is a bad MF. He's a bad man. And I just thought, wow, what a great character. What a great, and all of the actors play off of him like they're afraid of him, like really, truly afraid of him. And I was like, this is great. This is so great. Yeah. So Marcellus Wallace, who also is mentioned in Reservoir Dogs.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
At what point?
In The Office. Who is it? I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs in a long time. They're talking about him, and they mention his name in The Office.
Just like throw the name out there.
Oh, just totally throw that, which is actually, again, and this is the 90s, but that totally flavored what I wanted to do with my own films. It's just, you have a little throwaway line that means something in another film.
Just sort of reference, yeah, right.
Just really quick. Like, you're not going, hey, everybody, look, Easter egg.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, just comes up that this is someone they're aware of in the world.
Yeah, but and another thing too, this particular shot in this scene in Pulp Fiction was hugely influential on me. Sometimes somebody will hear a song that makes them want to be a rock star. When I saw this and I saw this scene with this color palette and everything, it made me want to make movies. It made me want to make animation for some weird reason too. I don't just everything around. It's the most beautifully shot scene I can think of.
It is, and it's another great, one of the all-time great Quentin Tarantino monologues.
Yes,
yes,
Yes.
And
Let's Stay Together burned in my mind. With
yes, Al Green,
Yeah.
a callback to the love song,
Yeah.
the top 5.
Yeah.
But then also the boldness of the acting challenge, where you're not going to show his face, you're going to keep it on Bruce Willis's face the entire time,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just sitting and listening to this monologue. Like, it's just such an unconventional choice. And Bruce Willis, again, like the acting challenge of like, we're just going to hold on your face while you're listening to this.
And the Band-Aid on the neck was such a great touch. Iconic.
It is.
And it spawned so many theories, fan theories.
Yes.
I love that. I love that stuff. You know, so.
And and you know, it was just a random touch. It's like, just to add something.
He could have had a pimple on his neck, and they said, you know what, that's kind of gross. Let's put a Band-Aid.
Let's put a Band-Aid over it, because that's kind of interesting. Like, what's the deal with the Band-Aid?
Yeah. I love it. I love how when something's introduced and it's not explained. That makes a film so interesting to me. I mean, if the film has to have a plot and everything, but here's what. So Norma asks.
Yes. What's the theory? Please share it. I know the one you're talking about.
Well, there's a theory that the briefcase with the lights, you know.
Yeah.
Are we happy? Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're happy. And everyone's always in shock.
Oh, we're happy.
Just like that. Everyone is always just like, their jaw drops when they see it.
So that one theory, and I love this theory, it's great, is that contains souls.
Yes.
Or a soul. Or Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Right.
And that's why he wants it so bad.
Right.
And that the soul was somehow taken out through his neck in a ceremony, somehow, or a part of his soul or whatever.
Yes.
There's just so many theories like that. Different, like, look up Pulp Fiction theories. There's a million of them, and they're all, some of them are really great. Yeah. But I don't know. I tend to think that there must have been a discussion somewhere behind the scenes, and it went one way or another. Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery either said, I could just picture Tarantino saying something like, it doesn't fucking mean nothing, man. It doesn't mean nothing. It just means, you know, I could see that, or I could see, it's his soul, man. It's his soul. You know, I could see it going either way. So that's what makes it so great. Nobody knows. They know. It also could have been a throwaway. It could have been, let's just have something in the briefcase. We don't even know what it is. And and
whatever it is wouldn't be interesting enough. But if we hint at something, everyone will imagine their most amazing thing, and that'll be better.
Yeah. So anyway, so the whole Ving Rhames did a great job. He did. And it is a sweat rash. Is there such a thing as a sweat rash? Ew, that's gross.
It's his Matrix port.
Yes, it's his Matrix port. So
there we go.
They're all connected to the Matrix. So, but I love Marcellus Wallace. I think he's a great character, and
that color scheme is beautiful. I still think, I'm not going to get into favorite Tarantino movies yet, because we're going to have the big conversation, but I would say this Pulp Fiction probably has my favorite kind of color scheme.
Oh, absolutely.
Look of all the Tarantino movies.
Yes.
We talked about that before.
Yes, and I will even go as far to say, as in my opinion, it's my favorite color scheme of any film ever. Period.
Wow.
Yeah, that much. Empire Strikes Back, number 2.
Yeah. That is up there.
Speaking of
number, be high up there. Okay.
Speaking of number 2, that sounds
horrible.
Let's go again. Look at Gary's number 2, like we always say. That joke never gets terrible.
So this is another one. This is an actor I didn't even know existed until I saw him in this movie. I don't know if most people, at least in the West, knew who he was until he was in this movie. I had read the book this movie was based on, loved it. When I heard they were making a movie with people will start to put this together with the Coen brothers. Insane. What? They're going to do this? That sounds amazing, and it was absolutely amazing. Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men.
Gary?
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. Play my number 2.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
It's animation.
Look at
this.
Maybe this is why it's love. Like, this is well. Now we can just, for our number 2, have a conversation.
I actually like
him.
my photo better. He looks a little bit more intimidating.
Does you want to do yours?
No, I mean no.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
you
matter.
say your piece, I'll say mine. Go ahead.
Is there a way? Can we do? I guess we can't. We can only do one at a time. I wanted to see if I could put them both up.
Yeah.
So wow, we got an overlap.
Yeah. Has this ever happened before?
I don't think this. And for the same spot.
Wow.
The same spot. Look at that.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
I mean, how great is this part? How great is his performance? Here's the one thing I'm going to say. It's another thing, just like Hans Landa. Millions and millions of words have been written about this. Here's the one thing I want to say about it. This could easily be a stupid robotic part. This could be Terminator 2.0.
Yes.
It could just be this cipher nobody who's just kind of marching slowly, like lumbering through scenes and killing people and lumbering out of frame. And somehow, even though I don't know how, again, kind of like Hans Landa, I don't know how Bardem did it, but he made this guy, as weird as he was, as terrifying as he was, as unnatural as he was, seem like a guy that could conceivably be out there.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's what makes him work. Like, he seems like just a guy you never ever want to meet, but could be out there somewhere.
Yeah, and methodical, but not methodical in a super villain type way. Methodical in like a person with training.
Yes.
A very smart, crafty, and ruthless. Again, ruthless. All the same way.
A comment from Mary Jackson here. Top 5 characters.
That's the other thing. That is amazing. The look they went for this.
Yes.
Was fantastic.
The least scary like haircut you could have on an overall otherwise terrifying guy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I want to jump off of what you said. He's a guy who he's so good at what he does. And the scene I can watch, just like that opening scene of Inglourious Basterds, the scene in this that I can watch over and over and over and over is after he gets shot and he goes and takes care of himself in a hotel room. He busts in, he goes into a pharmacy, he gets some stuff to fix his leg. He gets shot in the leg. And there's this extended scene in silence where he's sitting in a hotel room, basically doing surgery on himself. And you can tell he knows exactly what to do. Mm-hmm. And he looks very gentle and careful and meticulous and stitching himself up. Like this is a guy who knows what he's doing. This is his job. And he's very good at his job. And he's been hurt before and he knows how to deal with that. Like he's really, really spooky.
The other thing too I really like about him is he doesn't seem, this is going to sound weird, but he doesn't seem sadistic for just the sake of being sadistic. No. Like I'm a cat playing with a mouse. He doesn't seem like that. He seems more like there's some thought put into it, but he's done some really bad things. He would murder a whole family if he had to in his mind.
Yeah.
For the outcome, for the goal.
Yeah.
There's no holds bars with this guy.
No.
Because no holes bars.
No. No, that's no holes bars. I think that's a weird adult film. No holds barred. I think. Yeah. What we're
NoHo in North Hollywood. There's a bar. No. But this is just one of my absolute favorite. The first time I saw it, and truly one of the most scary villains. Just scary. I mean, when he's on screen, you don't know what he's gonna do. Also, you kind of root for him to get killed, but at the same time, I don't really want him to get killed because he's so interesting.
He's a great balance of, I think, what we were both going for. Because I want a villain that you really are like, this guy's terrifying and awful. You want one that's fun to watch. I think Anton's both. Like, he's really fun to watch, but he's also terrible. Like, he's just a really scary guy.
Yeah. So Norma asked a question. I don't know what this means. Oh, is this the movie with the guy with the cat?
I think that's The Shining.
That's The Shining. Or Thor.
Or Thor. Or
No, this is he's from No Country for Old Men. Woody Harrelson's in it. By the way, the
Yes.
Woody Harrelson hotel scene where they're sitting having a talk and he has his gun trained on him. the whole time.
Oh,
I hate that scene so much.
it's so and
It's so
Woody
uncomfortable.
Harrelson. Who knew that guy could act so well? He is.
I did.
Well, see, I knew he could act, but he is so terrified. Like
Yeah.
he seems so. He realizes this is just the worst possible situation.
Again, he's a really smart foil, Woody
Yes.
Harrelson. He's a smart. He's not a dumb. Like he's not a staged. He's not a stooge. He's not put there to die. His character could have been the hero. His character
could have been.
Yeah.
I think it was just, and it kind of plays in the whole like message. One of the messages in the movie, it's that this sort of randomness of death visiting you.
Yeah.
Like I think in maybe 7 out of 10 times, Woody Harrelson would have done fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he just happened to roll a bad die roll.
It's almost like they took their characters and went like this. Oh,
Yeah.
he dies, you know.
Yeah.
He dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what makes it real, and there's stakes. When you watch it, there's stakes.
Oh, yeah.
And it also doesn't seem to be done gratuitously. I can't speak tonight. No holes barred.
A no holes bar.
Yeah. So, anyways, wow, we were on the same wavelength with this guy.
Same guy in the same position. That's amazing.
Can I isolate you saying that, by the way?
No, please don't.
Please cut that clip out and send it to me.
All right.
And then we'll talk about no holes bar. Okay, wait.
So
I wonder if we're going to overlap on this. I have a feeling you're going to.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will. I think this is what I suspect. I suspect there's a lot of people out there, a lot of viewers at home, who think they know who I would pick here.
Mm-hmm.
I think they think I would pick a certain Dark Lord of the Sith.
Is that why you're not picking? Because you think you want to throw them off, Gary?
No, I would never do that. These are always my genuine top 5.
Okay.
That particular character might show up in my honorable mentions, but with the preamble, it needs to be someone. We'll get in. We'll talk about him later. Don't worry. He's not my number 1. This is, to me, I think, one of my favorite. Well, not a one of. He's my favorite movie villain of all time.
Wait.
Another performance.
Yes.
Okay. Tori Amos.
Is he kind of bald?
Yes.
Don't say it. Leanne's gonna say it. She blurts things. No, that axe. You're talking like Norma now.
Shining.
No, not The Shining. No. Does he have? I can't give any hints because then you'll say it. Okay, go ahead, Gary. I think I know who it is. Not. Oh,
what?
Wow, you blew my mind.
Let's see.
It's Alonzo Harris from Training Day.
Denzel Washington.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Gary, that's a fantastic choice. That's a brilliant, fantastic choice.
I mean, obviously, he's my number 1. I think the best villain in movies that I've seen. Like my favorite.
He is actually, in another way, he is an evil Dark Lord.
He is. He's terrifying. And here's what I like most about his kind of brand of evil.
Wow.
In this movie. First of all, he's kind of like Hans Landa, utterly charming. And I think so for people who haven't seen Training Day, again, go see Training.
Oscar-worthy performance.
Oscar-worthy performance. And like Denzel Washington is almost always, he's one of these guys that's like Quentin Tarantino movies. Even at his worst, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
like,
he's always good.
He's always the highlight of whatever movie he's in.
Right.
You know.
Wow.
But in this movie, he's always great. He murdered every other role he ever played. Like and he has some great roles, in my opinion. So what I think is particularly great, so people who haven't seen it, first of all, see Training Day. Training Day is one of the greatest movies.
Great movie.
Like it was in the running from one of my top 5 movies. Like it's just a great, great, great film. So Ethan Hawke, I don't remember his character's name. He's trying to get onto the narcotics team in LA. And he has to do a ride along basically with Alonzo Harris Ethan Hawke is already a cop. Alonzo Harris is like, he's been in this narc squad forever. And they're going to spend the day going and doing Alonzo's business and kind of introducing him to like, this is what the job is. He does this perfect kind of classically satanic thing where it starts real small, like real little things, little transgressions, little cutting corners. Yeah. And you as not only Ethan Hawke, but you as an audience member are thinking like, oh, he's one of these sort of like a Dirty Harry kind of cop. He does things.
You could also say, you go, oh, I kind of get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
And so he'll introduce Ethan Hawke like sometimes it goes like this, sometimes we do this, and Ethan Hawke always is like, what? And he's like, no, it's like, this is totally normal. This is how it's done. What, you think we were doing it this way? And Ethan Hawke always is like, well, I guess if that's how you do it. And it just gets ramped up and ramped up and ramped up.
Also, Gary, there's also a sense of, well, you want to catch the bad guys, don't you?
Right.
If we play by these rules, we're going to lose every time.
Every time. And Ethan Hawke, every once in a while, it gets way far out there for Ethan Hawke. And he's like, what are we doing? And like, rather than kind of turn into full evil SOB mode, Alonzo's more like, I understand. I know. I was just like you. This is just how we do it. This is how you get these guys. This is how you put these people in jail. We're trying to clean up the streets. This is how it works. I know it's a shock to you. I know it's hard, but you just got to give it time. You got to get your head in the right place. Like, it's this very seductive evil. And it's almost like a great dramatization of, I don't remember the name of it. It was The Experiment, where they put people in a room and they gave them like this button and said, if you hit this button, you're going to shock somebody in the other room. Don't ever turn it above this level. This was the experiment. And so then they leave. And then someone else comes in a white coat and says like, we're going to crank this next one up to 8, which is above where they're supposed to. And people are like, I don't think we're supposed to do that. It's like, no, we're doing it. It's okay. It's okay. And you're getting people no one was really being shocked, but in this experiment, you're getting people to administer what they think could be a dangerous or lethal shock to a stranger in another room because someone in a lab coat is saying, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. That's what Alonzo's doing through this whole movie. And it's riveting.
Yeah.
And he's charming. You kind of love him. You kind of think he's a badass. You kind of think he's cool until you don't. It's kind of like the Hans Landa turn where suddenly he's like, oh, he seems kind of nice, until suddenly he doesn't. And then you're like, oh, this guy's a nightmare. This is the most evil guy I've ever seen in a movie, which is why I made him my number 1.
I'm blown away in a good way about this. This is like, I didn't even think about this one. Wow. That's a great choice. So, wow. Props to you, Gary. Props. By the way, before I show my number 1, Leanne says Glenn Close. Well, Fatal Attraction.
Oh, Fatal Attraction. Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction. By the way, since we're on number 1,
she boiled his daughter's bunny.
She boiled the bunny in that.
She boiled the bunny. Yeah.
She boiled the bunny. Yes. What's in the box? She boiled a bunny. So everyone, if you can, just throw out your number 1 choices. Like, who's your?
Let's start hearing number 1s.
I've been here. Yeah, we want to hear number 1s now. Before I get.
We know Mary's was Hal.
That's a fantastic choice too.
What is that?
But okay, my number 1. I'm not going to give too much build up because I think we're all going to know who it is.
Okay.
I picked this number 1 because I'm thinking back to being 7 years old and the impact.
Yes.
And the idea of cool fear that this gentleman brought to the screen.
Yes.
Let's just show it. Roll with it, Gary.
Look at that. Look at that.
Darth Vader
figure
in the Star Wars.
Yes.
Darth. Now, of course, that's a silly action figure photo, but I want you to think back.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is kind of like, it's that Beatles song that they play on the, I'm saying pick anyone you're thinking of, that they just play on the radio. You've heard it way too much, so that when you hear the beginning of it, you're like, oh, it's a good song, but you've heard it 50,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's still powerful. And and if you really think back when it was still a little bit fresh, it was game changing, mind blowing. He is the Hotel California of villain.
Yeah.
He is just overexposed, yes, but for what he is, for the design, the darkness, especially, and to me, there's moments now where they bring him in, like in Kenobi and in different shows, where you get little flashes of like, oh, that's the classic, almost silent Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He didn't speak that much. But I'm remembering rewinding the tape back to when I was 7 years old, and you would see him in ads and different things. And it wasn't like a friendly Star Wars. It was almost like Star Wars, almost like a sci-fi horror movie in a way. It was presented that way. Like, this is sci-fi, and this is really like kind of spooky, you know?
Yeah.
And he was intimidating. He was just what a great design, great character. And I just have to say, he's the strongest villain I've ever seen on screen for what he is. It's a different type of villain than Anton or Marcellus, but he's a classic adventure villain with a lot of classic elements, and just great guy. Great guy.
Great guy. Cool guy. No, I mean, what more can you say? Like, I absolutely respect this choice.
I can say that your Mary doesn't like On a Dark Desert Highway with cool wind in her hair.
She can't stand Hotel California. I don't think she's an Eagles fan.
No, it's okay. I love that song though. Sorry.
Not everyone's perfect. I mean,
do you like Hotel California? Search your heart. So, do you like Hotel California?
Of course. How do you not like Hotel California? I mean,
okay.
Anyways,
Darth Vader is my
great choice. I'm going to show you my first honorable mention.
Okay. Of course, he's going, damn it, Gary.
Yeah. Look, like I said, to try and narrow this, I went to like, who are the ones I really shake my fist at, kind of like Vader is here. And here's the problem with Vader. I love Star Wars so much. I kind of love Vader. Like, I don't even, it's hard for me to even conceive of him as a villain. Like, he's just sort of, I think, the coolest, neatest character. And also, in defense of him, like, maybe in my mind, not being a great villain in my head, is he's killed as many Imperials as he has rebels.
There's another great villain. Neesum's calling me. My friend Neesom. So you look at Vader kind of more like an anti-hero than a villain.
I just think he's usually the only thing I want to look at, the coolest thing on screen when he's on screen. I just want to hear it. And I kind of love how he bullies everybody. Like, Imperials are scared of him. Rebels are scared of him. Like, nobody wants to be stuck in a room with this guy other than maybe Palpatine. Like, he's just, I think he's too cool. Like, that's why I couldn't put him on my list. It's like, I just like him too much.
Yeah.
We've seen
the softer side of Anakin. We've seen a lot of backstory and a lot of, even by the time Return of the Jedi came out, we'd seen a lot of Vader and like there is good in him. And when Star Wars came out, he was just the ultimate bad guy.
He was. Yes, that was definitely the scariest. And even Empire, I think Empire is not only my favorite Star Wars movie, it's probably my favorite Vader. Mm-hmm. But there's just little things I do remember. I remember the first time I saw that Bespin duel, the thing that really kind of struck me, there's one scene in particular where Luke and Vader get kind of tied up with their sabers and they're close to each other. And Vader kind of like pushes him back just with his body weight. Mm-hmm. And for a second, his head is right next to Luke's.
Oh, and
you see that Luke's head is like this big. Yeah. Vader's helmet is like this he's just enormous. He's this monster of a man, like looming over everyone that he's next to. That's just one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I really, the idea of Vader is just, and he does have the tenacity.
He does have a tendency. Yeah, he has a problem with, You don't ask him to babysit.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to know what everyone thinks of Vader.
If people are familiar with this,
Are
so I'm
you
gonna run.
are you a Vader hater or a Vader celebrator?
Whoa.
Hashtag tag me on TikTok.
I'm going to run through my honorable mentions, little one sentence blurbs on each one, hopefully. Salieri and Amadeus. I don't know if people have seen Amadeus. I think he's so great to watch. He's so much fun to watch. What's interesting about
music? How could he
What's
be
that?
He cries when he hears music. How could he be
cries when he hears music? But not only that, I think what's kind of fascinating about him is he hates Mozart. He's actively trying to kind of sabotage his career and drive him crazy, and yet admires the hell out of him and thinks his work is miraculous. Like it's kind of fascinating, like the way how he can somehow occupy those two spaces at once. But it was an amazing performance, amazing movie, amazing villain. Jerry Lundegaard.
Oh, I don't think he's a villain.
He's a villain. He's a villain, and and in my opinion, he's one of the greatest fun villains to watch because you just want to slap him the entire time. He's such a worm.
I disagree. I think he's a hero gone awry, and
tried to get his wife kidnapped for ransom,
but he wasn't going to kill her.
Wow. He's the most sniveling. There's many genres of villain. He's the sniveling coward villain. Like he's the awful, despicable, wormy, wussy, coward wimp of a villain where you just like you want to wring his neck. He's so obnoxious. He's so terrible. He's not scary at all. He's just like awful. So I had to throw him in there.
He's a Jim Lujan character.
He's very much a Jim Lujan character. Totally. But so is Marcellus Wallace, which is kind of funny. Like those both could be in a Jim Lujan.
And Darth Vader. So. Oh, good one. Oh, that's a really good one. Ash.
So good. Yeah. So good. Like he was just so good and so creepy. Through most of the movie, you don't actually know the big reveal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the movie, you just think he's kind of like this dweeby. You think he might be a little bit of a Nurse Ratched type. Like just sort of a weird.
At the very beginning, you kind of even wonder, is he a good guy? Like, is he going to be on that side of the fence?
Right. Yeah. And it turns out he's just about as bad as you.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Wow. You put some thought into this.
I did put some thought. Angel Eyes.
Oh, wow.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
The bad.
He's the bad. And I hope someday we do a Westerns top 5. Or maybe even a spaghetti Westerns top 5. But I would settle for Westerns. But Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, expected to get featured highly. But Angel Eyes, he's the villain. He's the bad guy in that movie. And he is horrible. But
what's the actor's name?
Something Van Cleef?
Not Mario Van Cleef. Is it? Lee Van Cleef.
Lee Van Cleef. There we go. He didn't always do villain roles. In fact, the Man with No Name trilogy, the second one in it, for a few dollars more, he was a good guy. In this movie, he was a bad guy, and he just got, I hate to say it, sorry, Mr. Van Cleef, your soul, wherever you are, he's got the perfect face for a cowboy villain. Like, I mean, he just looks like...
Kind of looks like my dad.
He looks like an evil gunfighter. Your dad looked like an evil gunfighter?
Dad was an evil gunfighting firefighter.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And then I think this is my last, no, the second to last.
Oh, speaking of my dad.
Does this look like your dad?
Yeah, except for my dad didn't wear an open shirt like that, but much like Ricardo Montalban, he had no hair right here. So.
Yeah. I mean, Khan and Wrath of Khan he's kind of like that Darth Vader level where he's just sort of a perfect sci-fi villain.
And they let him go loose too on that role.
Yes. And it's a great performance. That's the best of the Star Trek movies ever to date. Wow. The best villain Star Trek has ever had. Like it's just, and they got the best performance out of William Shatner in that movie. It's just amazing. And then I think finally, yes.
Oh,
John Landis, director of one part of Twilight Zone. In this day and age of people getting canceled, for bad things, let us not forget that John Landis staged a very dangerous shoot, a stunt with a helicopter that resulted in the death of 3 people, including 2 children. Everybody told him it was a bad idea. Everybody told him it was dangerous. He told everyone to shut up and do their parts, and 3 people died as a result. I'm just saying, people have been canceled for far less. Let's not forget this guy. Okay, all right.
Good. I noticed that.
Also, Willy Wonka.
Yeah. So that was good. That was good. Okay.
Are you ready for your honorable mentions?
Okay, ready for them. Let's bring them on. My honorable mentions. I don't have photos for my honorable. I'll just go over them
Fine.
really quick.
That's fine.
So,
Look at these. I'm 3 in and I'm loving this.
Jaws from the James Bond films. As a
Yes.
kid, watching him on the big screen, I was like, this is the coolest villain. I believe is in The Spy Who Loved Me is when he makes his debut, I believe. Just that his first appearance was awesome. Awesome. Just the way he hit the screen and 7-foot dude, I guess, right? He was
Yeah.
just a big menacing character.
Yes.
Jaws from the James Bond films. Maleficent, and Maleficent almost made my top 5 list, period. One of the best Disney villains ever, and the prototype of like a beautiful dark witch that's
Yes.
lit very well.
Yes.
Just awesome.
Very,
Looks
very
like
good.
paintings.
Great design. Just
Great
visual
design. Yeah. Here's another one. Sheriff Buford T. Justice.
I love this.
Bandit.
Played by
Jackie Gleason.
the great Jackie Gleason.
Yes, Jackie Gleason in that, where he would always look at his son and be like, and he'd say something really horrible to his son. Buford T. Justice. Please go Google his scenes and kind of like in a weird way, kind of borderline racist, I think, but never really said anything racist, but just had that impression.
You just imagine he is.
You just imagine he is. So he was really progressive. He's like, we got to get health care for all people. No. So, okay.
He was marching. He was marching at Selma.
I didn't even
And
know
also,
that.
yeah, right.
Clear the way. We need to get these folks through. No. All right. So the next 2, let's put them together. Heath Ledger's Joker and Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Look at that. Jokers.
Yeah. By the way, I love the Jokers. That's a great villain too. I could have put him on the list. Jack Nicholson's Joker, when I saw it, I was like, this is perfect casting, perfect performance. In time, like looking back on it, it did lose a little steam. It's not as strong as I thought it was. But when it came out, there was a level of excitement and energy about it that was incredible. The opposite with Heath Ledger, the complete opposite. When I went in to see Dark Knight, I'm like, oh, he's going to be brooding Joker, like,
Right,
I'm
right.
so
Emo
Joker. I thought it was going to be so, and then 25 seconds into the role, I remember thinking, this is one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my life in any film.
It is a
Unbelievable.
crazy performance. Like, it's an amazing performance.
Another level, just so good. And not in a way, there's nothing he does in that film that I feel like, oh, look at him, he's trying. It's just he is.
It looks very like much he embodied the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's almost he's unrecognizable, the makeup and the
Well,
hair.
I got one from Leanne that I should have put on this list, but I'm going to say it in a second. But I'll go with this one. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator 1, the first Terminator.
It's a good
One of
choice.
the greatest screen villains ever.
I considered Arnold. I considered Terminator 1.
Super scary, just scary. And when he was on the screen, you were like, oh man. And again, to use the word ruthless, just a killing machine, just no feelings, just straight ahead. And he was great. He played the role perfectly, and he set the tone for the.
He was made for it. Like,
literally, they made him.
Who else? Like, does that movie work with anybody less than that?
Well, I would like to see Danny DeVito in that role. That would have been good. Okay, and then down here, Wicked Witch of the West, which I think Leanne also.
Such a great.
She said Wicked Witch of the East. Is it West or East?
It's the West.
The West.
Wicked Witch of the West, and I also considered her for mine.
Unless you mean the East, you don't like Glenda, whatever. So she hates good people. No. But no, Wicked Witch of the West, very scary. Poor lady got typecast. She was on Sesame Street though, and I thought that was really.
She did, and she showed her little witch
Yeah,
costume.
and I thought that was really sweet.
Actually, no, it was Mr. Rogers.
Okay, I got one. Oh, and then Scott mentioned something.
Yeah, Scott, and that's a great. Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Yeah, I've never seen Misery actually.
Oh, that's another one you gotta.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kathy Bates.
Which
Kathy Bates.
She's another level actress too. Like,
She is, and it's a really, really amazing. That's an amazing movie. It's
okay. I got one. I have to mention this one, and I have to credit Leanne because she brought this one up earlier.
Okay.
One of the greatest screen performances I've ever seen. When you said earlier about an actor playing a role that they're not really like, or I said that, Heath Ledger,
Yes.
about an actor like
I love him.
playing a role that they're not really like, and they just become that person.
Yeah.
Edward Norton in American History X.
Oh,
It's
that's
one of the
one.
greatest film performances of all time.
Yep.
Because Edward Norton is nothing like that guy.
Nothing.
Physically, personality-wise, stature, speaking, just everything. And he pulled it off. You could show that movie to a really bad person, and they would be like, "Oh, he got it. He nailed it."
Like that. Yeah.
It's not an actor that did research and is like, "Look at me, I'm tough." You know.
Right.
He's just the real deal in that movie, and it's so impressive because he's nothing like that, and he's a villain. Definitely a villain for most of that movie.
I had totally forgotten that. That definitely would have at least made my honorable mentions because he's really, really scary and convincing.
Yeah, really, really sweet story. My cousin went to see American History X in Huntington Beach, California, which kind of has like a little bit of a white supremacist area. Okay. But he saw in a theater full of skinheads, and they were cheering at all the wrong moments.
Oh no!
And here's the best part: he was on a first date. Which, if you're taking a date
to American History X,
if you're taking him to see American History X, Jay, if you're doing that, then okay, that's like taking R. Kelly to Kid Zone. You know, it's like taking, that's the worst possible decision you can make.
No, that's.
But yeah, he said it was really weird. Like it was very uncomfortable watching that film. Yeah, but. That being said, I had to throw Edward Norton's character in there.
Great thing to mention.
Spoiler alert: he does a turnaround in that, and that's not a prison term. He does a turnaround in this film that his character goes a whole different direction.
He eventually sees the error of his ways, but
But, so that's when I got to put.
But like at the very end, like through most of that movie, he's terrifying.
You know what movie doesn't really have a villain? Willy Wonka. All the children are villains.
Well, what about
Charlie?
Yeah, exactly. Veruca Salt, right?
Except for Charlie. And by the way, Charlie's uncle or grandpa is the worst human being ever because
he's a terrible.
He's living off of the state, and and then he can walk all of a sudden when
he clearly can walk. Exactly. Yeah.
Or the coolest grandpa because he just does what he wants. So.
He's figured out the system.
He told Charlie to steal the fizzy lifty. So, what kind of influence is that? So, anyways, so there's my honorable mentions. I had another one. I did have another one.
Okay.
Earlier in the show, if you go back, I thought I was going to predict one of Gary's choices.
I think I know what you think I was going to say.
I thought you were going to say the vampire from Salem's Lot.
Oh.
That is one of the scariest creatures ever made on film.
That is a great monster.
Yeah, great. Nosferatu as well.
I thought you thought. See, we're playing this like mental game with each other.
Hannibal Lecter.
You thought that I would pick
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, I thought you did. I thought you were going to too.
Or at least Buffalo Bill, like from the same movie. But
By the way, they Buffalo Bill, the spinoff should be called Untucked. So that would be a good spinoff for Buffalo Bill. So Scott Circlin just says.
I'm just gonna let it sit out there a little bit.
Scott Circlin has a good comment. He says, Willy Wonka totally killed them kids.
Yeah, it's a terrifying place, really. His factory. Yeah. It's not safe. You shouldn't be touring kids through there.
By the way, R. Kelly, one of his last albums that he made was called The Chocolate Factory.
Was it really?
Yes.
No, you're lying.
Would I make a joke about R. Kelly like that?
Yes, you absolutely
would, but I'm not lying. Google it. Please Google it. And Google
I'm not going to Google R. Kelly.
Google
I'm at max capacity for R. Kelly information.
Mary, tell him I'm not lying. She knows music.
Mary, don't engage.
Oh, R. Kelly, it's one of the most popular albums he had. It's called
Chocolate Factory.
The Chocolate Factory.
The Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I have no idea what the cover looked like, so I don't want to know. But
I don't want to know either.
Yeah, but and Scott will back me up. He probably has it on right now. So
this was another great episode, but I want to revisit one thing here that's just amazing to me.
What's that?
Let's see here. Hold on. Here we go. Jim's number 2. My number 2.
Speaking of Chocolate Factory.
Jim's number 2. Speaking of chocolate factories, let's look at our number 2s.
Yeah. Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
So my guy, my picture that I selected.
Yeah.
Looks like a little bit like Halloween. What's it? Michael Myers in Halloween.
Michael Myers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your picture looks a little bit more like Mike Myers in Austin Powers.
This looks more like a Karen making a complaint.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. But the reason I picked this, because it's like one of the most chilling scenes in the whole movie.
You know what he's saying right there? He's going, I want you to go to the back room and get the manager. I want to talk to the manager. My coupon is still good.
Just so everyone who's watching, I'm not doing the accent.
Gary told me to. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
He's doing the accent.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't.
I wouldn't do that.
He disagrees with all your picks, anyways.
It's not
so
true.
I think we've learned 3 things in the show. Number 1 is that Gary and I both love the character Anton from that.
Yes.
2 is that we're both kind of a little bit over the typical anti-hero all the time. And 3, Mary hates Hotel California.
And Norma really does work at that.
And Norma really does work at the Hotel California. It's now a
so there is. I didn't even realize there is a Hotel California.
Yeah, Norma works there.
And people
sometimes she stabs the beast with her steely knife, but it won't die.
She just can't kill it.
Yeah, but that's okay.
How do you feel now, Mary?
The Nightman always tells her to relax because he's programmed to receive. I believe so. Shall we wrap it?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about my idea for next week's.
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot in public.
That's right.
All right. Well,
we can hash it out here.
Remember who you're talking to, because it can't be like somebody suggested open world video games. It's like my 5 would be GTA, because that's all I know.
You'll be able to participate in this one. Anyone can participate in this one, which is part of why I like it. I feel like anyone who's watching is going to have strong opinions.
Yeah. And by the way, can you believe that at first I wanted it just to be us two, and I didn't care about the audience. I love the audience now.
I think you had a little bit of anxiety. You had a little
bit of
anxiety.
I wanted it to be different. Like, let's don't do a typical show where people walk.
Yeah.
Let's do a show
we're still making it our own and enjoying.
We're indie.
The chat's participation.
We're not.
So I thought we've done like some of the big obvious like movies, albums. Mm-hmm. Like we've done now time. I think let's do something a little silly, a little light, a little fun, a little something that anyone can have an opinion on.
It's
Top 5
sexual positions.
See, you and me again on the same page. Crazy. No. Top 5 fast food menu items.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the law. Here's the rule I will propose.
Yes.
Of each type, you can only pick one. So you can't pick cheeseburgers all the way down. If you're gonna pick a cheeseburger, you got to pick your best cheeseburger anywhere.
Well, how many fast food items are there? Like that? Are there
You
5?
think about fries. You think about burgers. You think about Jack in the Box tacos.
Okay.
You think about
right.
shakes. Like whatever. So let's just imagine you're on death row. You get to pick 5 items from all the fast food places to make your last meal. What are the 5 things you're picking? You can mix
Oh my
and
God.
match.
Gary, look at this new comment since I said
Wow.
positions. Look at what it did.
See, Omega
Oh my
want
God,
to
I
find
broke
love.
the
Our AI will help. Corey, look what AI is doing now. Okay, we're going to.
I was going to make a joke about what AI stands for, but
let's see here. Block user. Let's see. This is
no, encourage them. We want them.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Top
five menu
top
items.
5
Yeah, I'm with
overrated
it.
songs. I have a feeling Hotel California is on her list, but
Oh,
no, we're not
no.
doing that. No, shame on you.
No.
Top 5 fast food menu items.
Okay.
Think of all
right.
the muffins, all
Okay.
the croissant sandwiches, all the French toast sticks, like whatever. The 5 you like the best.
All right. I think and we can pick multiple from the same location.
Yes.
But we just can't,
I think not. I'm suggesting. Tell me what you think about this. Not multiple of the same thing. So you can't do like fries from Burger King and fries from McDonald's.
Right.
Like one fry. If you're doing fries,
one item, but we can pick multiple from the same place.
Yes.
But just different items.
Yes.
All right. I can get with that.
Now, how do you feel about this? Do you think this should be our next top 5?
I agree. And you guys don't know this, but Gary texted me earlier and says, I've got one that you're going to love, you big fat pig. And I'm like, okay. Wow. Okay. I can't wait to hear what it is.
I can't believe I would say that to you.
Thanks, Gary. You really made me feel good. But I like it. And if anybody has any topics besides, we can do, what I like about this show so far, besides the audience, but
and your guest, and
we're
your
not
co-host,
we're not negative on this show. Like we haven't done like the top 5 worst this or the top 5 worst that.
Top 5 terrible movies. No, we're not doing that.
There's enough of that on the internet.
There's plenty of this is positive. And I think the closest I think we'll ever dance to negative will be top 5 things that everybody else hates that you love.
Yeah,
we'll do like that.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Okay, so
next where it's always positive. It's always positive.
All right, top 5 fast food items.
Yes.
Check. We'll do it.
Yes.
Okay, can I give a little closing statement?
Of course.
That I want people to know?
Yeah.
Always remember, and then after I say it, you hit the top 5 thing.
Okay.
We're ready.
Let me get
always know that some dance to remember, but some dance to forget.
All right, guys. It reminds me of a wise saying I once heard. It might be a Zen thing. I don't remember.
What is it?
Something to the effect of you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, everybody. Sometime next week, top 5 fast food menu items. Thank you for joining us for top 5 movie villains.
Hasta la vista, baby.